The prison inside the city was a simple structure, with no identifying features that would point it out to being a prison, aside from a simple sign on the front of the building. With how little crime there was inside the city, the building was often calm and peaceful. Aside from the occasional fight, the guards hardly ever had to interact with prisoners. Entering the building, Relissa noticed an increase of tension and worry from the guards. When they noticed her, one of them quickly walked up to Relissa and greeted her. "Priestess, welcome to our humble location. Is there anything I could assist you with?" She looked at the guard and gave him a broad smile. "Thank you. I had learned that there was intruders that were apprehended, so I came to see them." The guard nodded his head and led her down a series of steps. For security purposes, the cells were located beneath the building, so it took some time to reach it. Compared to other prisons, theirs was a very clean and tidy facility with plenty of lights. This made the place not as gloomy as one would normally think of a prison to be. A final locked door was unlocked, and the guard held the door open for her to enter through. Another guard assigned to watch the prisoners saw that she was walking through and quickly stood up and saluted. "There is no need to be nervous," Relissa reassured the guard. "The person who seemed to be the leader is located in the first cell," the first guard answered, trying to be helpful. As she approached the cell and looked through the bars, she noticed a man who appeared very relaxed. In the same cell were numerous beautiful women, which made the scene look quite odd. "It seems we have a visitor," the man spoke without opening his eyes, with his head resting against the wall. Many of the women looked over at her with apparent suspicion in their eyes. "I am Relissa, priestess of Pulentia," she introduced herself. "I was informed that you appeared within the city and caused quite a commotion." "We were adventuring and stumbled across a teleportation device, which sent us here," the man explained, still appearing very relaxed. "Where did you find this device?" she asked him. Opening his eyes and turning towards her, he said, "It was a land of monsters." Hearing his explanation only seemed to add in more confusion. "What do you mean by a land of monsters?" He shrugged his shoulders and stated, "That is all we know about that place. We had fallen into a trap within a dungeon in a distant land and were transported to that place. After finding the device, thinking to return to our home, we ended up here." Relissa tried to see if the man was trying to deceive her, but didn't see the usual signs or markers of an agent of the gods. Looking at the others, they also didn't show any signs. After finding out that there may be no connections with the gods, she sighed in relief. The man raised an eyebrow, noticing the stress she had. "I will need to talk with the others in your group, but so far, everyone within the cell will be allowed to leave." Relissa looked over at the guards and indicated for them to release the man and women. Standing up and stretching, he looked at her and said, "My name is E, and I appreciate your help on this matter. We seem to be far from home, so we are unsure of how to proceed." "There is no need for thanks. I'm only doing what is right. Considering your circumstances and the approach of the overflow, I welcome you to stay within our city. There is no need to feel any fear towards the disaster that is the overflow. Our city is more than able to fend off the monsters. Idrenis here will assist you on any matters to make sure your stay is comfortable." She motioned towards Idrenis, who nodded her head in acknowledgement. Relissa proceeded to the next cells and checked on the remaining members of E's group. She would look at them and see if any of them belonged to the gods, before having the guard open the cell. At the last cell, she stepped back away from the cell. Idrenis, sensing her alarm, stood in front of her and pulled out a sword. "Priestess, what is the matter?" Idrenus asked as she stood in front of Relissa while staring at the people inside. Whatever the reason, Idrenus handled the situation as if it were a serious matter. Pointing at one of the men dressed up in an adventurer's outfit, she said, "He has indications of being connected with the gods." While the other people in the cell looked confused by his statement, the man she was pointing at looked alarmed. He quickly tried to hide his facial expression of looking caught and pretended to look confused. "Why are you pointing at me? I don't know what you're talking about." The man tried to deny her accusations. "You, go to the wall and alert the officer on duty that I need him to bring his best men over here," Idrenus shouted at one of the guards, who jumped from her loud voice. Yes, at once, my lady." He quickly saluted and dashed off to complete the task. The man named E walked over towards them and after he heard all the commotion, asked, "What seems to be the issue?" Though she felt suspicious of him, she reminded herself that he had no indications of being a part of the gods. Taking a deep breath, she explained, "One of the men in your group has signs that he is connected with the gods." E tilted his head, trying to understand what she was trying to say. "I am unsure what you mean when you say that." He tried to get her to clarify. "Are you familiar with the gods?" she asked him. Seeing him nod his head, she continued, "Through our research, we have learned that the gods are actively trying to manipulate events occurring around the world. The agents that they use tend to have certain signs about them, likely from their interactions with others who also follow the directions from the gods." "And you are saying that this man is one of the agents?" E asked her. "Yes," she answered. "Well now, that makes sense," he murmured to himself. This man was the one that activated that mana stone and released the demons from their prison. With this man being an agent, it likely meant that the demons and gods were working with one another. Seeing recognition flash across his face, Melissa asked, "May I ask what you are thinking?" "Before we were sent to the land with monsters, this man had activated a device that led us to being sent to that place. Finding out that he was an agent fits with what had happened." He looked at the man sitting there. "So, what will happen to him?" he asked. "We will send him outside of the city. With the overflow approaching, I think it is a fitting punishment," she stated. "You can't do that!" The man rushed towards the bars, gripping them. "I'll die on my own out there. Please, I'm not one of them," he begged them. "You've seen them too. You know what'll happen," he implored E. E just looked back at the man without any care for his predicament. "Will you be letting the other people free?" E asked her. "After I have the appropriate number of guards to escort the man out of the city, the other people will need to stay inside," Idrenus informed E. Seeming to accept that answer, he walked over to a nearby wall and leaned up against it. The women that were in the same cell as him placed themselves close enough to act, but far enough to give him space. They seemed to greatly care for him, which made her curious about who he was. Was he a noble from a distant kingdom, or an important merchant?